something to do on a Saturday. And I've got a delicious one to do today. With Easter and Mother's Day right around the corner, how about some sweet rolls? Yum. You know, normally I like to do yeast bread. I'm a big fan of bread, love to bake. But maybe you're a little short on time. Maybe you're not a baker and you're a little intimidated by that. Well, hey, then watch one of my other videos. We'll get there together, right? But this is a quick and easy one, and I won't lie, sometimes I go and I cheat and I use the biscuit dough. So this is a nice, quick and easy cheater's recipe. Miss Lori and I were talking the other day, and she said, you know, I like one of those recipes where it's pretty, it's fancy, it looked like you did a lot, but you didn't. Well, hey, I hope Miss Lori's watching today, because this is a good one. So go grab your biscuit dough or your croissant roll, and we'll get started. So the first sweet roll that we're going to do is our caramel nut sweet roll, which is really, really delicious. But before you go getting your dough or getting your nuts ready, the first thing that I want you to do is grab your can of sweetened condensed milk. If you've never done a video with me before, this is like yum, this is the best. You take a simple can of sweetened condensed milk, doesn't have to be name brand, go get you some generic stuff, save you some money because you know I'm cheap. You're gonna put this in either a pan of water or in your crock pot. You put it in the pan, put the water so that it covers the top of the can, and if you have enough room without it boiling over, put some more water over top of it so you're sure as it boils that, you know, it doesn't boil out. And for the caramel, what I call kind of the caramel fudge or the caramel butter consistency that we want, you're going to want to cook this in your crock pot on high for about 4 hours, or if it's on the stove, once you bring it to a boil, you're going to simmer it for about 3 hours to get it nice and thick. If you're looking for caramel sauce, usually about 2 hours on high in the crock pot, or for about 6 hours on low. You can put this in the crock pot overnight. That's one of the reasons I love this. Drop it in the crock pot, leave it sit overnight, and if you go 8 hours or more, we should get caramel fudge. I'm hoping that's what happens today. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes we get caramel sauce, sometimes we get caramel fudge. Either one is equally delicious and we'll work with it. So before we do the rest of our stuff, grab your can of sweetened condensed milk, throw it either in your pan of water or your crock pot, and then head on back. So I placed my cans of sweetened condensed milk in my crock pot and I covered them with water. And you want to go up over the top and then a little bit more of the cans. And you can either put it on low and cook it overnight or on high for about 4 hours. And when it's done, it will change from a milk liquid to a nice thick caramel almost paste. If you wish to have caramel sauce, you'll want to cook it for about half of that time. So for these recipes today, it really doesn't matter whether you use the biscuit dough or the croissant dough. Either pre-made dough will work fine, and you'll decide what you end up liking better. Some people like the biscuit dough better, some people like the croissant dough better. Just kind of depends. It doesn't have to be name brand. The only reason that mine's name brand is because it was on sale and it was cheaper than the generic. Y'all know I'm cheap. And since it was, you know, on sale and it was cheaper, I was like, hey, bonus prize, right? So we are starting with our biscuit dough, and we're going to do the caramel nut one. The other thing that you're going to want to do before you get started is you're going to want to toast your nuts. That's important. It's one of those little secrets, much like the, I'm going to scream here in a minute when the biscuit thing pops. Just like, oh, it's not coming. So now I'm going to have to break it on the, you can either push it with a spoon or lean up. Oh, there it is. You think I'd get used to that. I'm such a baby. But anyway, when you use walnuts, almonds, pecans, any kind of nut in your recipe, it's important to toast the nuts. Why? Because it enhances the flavor, especially when you're using walnuts. Walnuts have a tendency sometimes to be a little bitter. When you put them then in a recipe, especially if you're using a batter where things are gonna cook, sometimes it gets down in there and they don't get to fully cook. And that's important to really enhance that flavor. So I'm going to show you really quickly a good and quick and easy way to toast your nuts. But take that extra couple minutes to do that, because it'll really bring out the flavor. It'll make your recipe extra yummy. It's kind of like that homemade vanilla thing. It's that little extra touch that people just go, yum, why doesn't mine taste like this? Well, because you got that extra edge. So toast your nuts. I'm going to pop over to the oven real quick, and I will show you a quick and easy way to do it. It'll make all the difference in the world. I'm telling you, it'll make all the difference in the world. Let's go toast some nuts real quick.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is cover your pan with foil, and then go ahead and spray it with the nonstick spray. This will keep the nuts from sticking and burning. And again, this is a good process for almonds, pecans, walnuts, or whatever nut you're going to be working with when you're baking or cooking. Then what I've done is put just a tablespoon of oil in a Ziploc bag, and I've poured my nuts in there, and I'm just going to shake them around so that they get lightly coated. This will help them again from drying out and burning. And then you're just going to place them onto your pan and spread them out in a nice thin layer. Don't let them sit over top of each other so that they all get cooked and browned evenly. And we're going to put them in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes. We're just going to lightly toast them. We don't want to fully cook them and have them dry out too much. And again, this is especially important for walnuts because sometimes they tend to take on that bitter taste. And once you've put them in for about 5 to 7 minutes, they'll be a nice toasty brown, and they will be ready to go into your recipe.
Okay, so now that we've got our walnuts toasted, we can start working with our dough. We've got our sweetened condensed milk that hopefully has morphed into a caramel butter or a caramel fudge. It'll be nice and thick. Ooh, I see it oozing out. Yum, 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 yum. If you have not tried this, oh my gosh, you so have to try this because it's fabulous. Number one, it's just amazing that it makes this really cool transformation. So you open up your can, and I'm come around. And again, I talk about this all the time. I wish they had smell-o-vision, but just look at how yummy, and it's thick. It's like a peanut butter. Look at how yummy and delicious this is. I wish you could smell it. Oh, just can you smell it? It's wonderful. So it's nice and thick. We're going to be able to spread that nicely onto our dough, and that will be wonderful. I did not put a measuring cup in there. So we're just going to flour our surface just a little tiny bit. You don't want too much flour on there because that'll make it tough. And we're just going to yank open our little can of biscuits, and we're going to take a biscuit out, and we're just going to kind of press it a little bit with our hands, just to kind of mush it out a little bit. We're going to take our rolling pin and just roll it out. We're not going to get it really, really thin, but we're going to get it kind of thin. And how thin is kind of thin? Maybe like about not as thin as a dime, but maybe not as thick as a quarter. But we'll roll that out so that we have this nice flat, maybe a quarter, I don't know. So we have this nice flat piece of dough. And then we're going to take our caramel sauce, or our caramel butter, yum, butter, as Paula Deen would say. And we're just going to spread that right across our dough. So yummy and fabulous. And you'll want to spread this, and I'll pop it over there so that you can see, because you can't see really well the way I'm doing this right now. I'll bring the camera over here. But you're going to spread it sort of a medium kind of thickness, and it is kind of hard to, because it is this blobby sort of stuff. But you don't want too much, because what we're going to do is we're going to roll this up. So you're going to want it somewhat thick, but not too thick, because if you get it too thick, it's just all kind of soupy and messy, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna grab the camera. I'm gonna bring it over here so you can see about how much I put on there. You can kind of gauge that for your own rolls, okay? So So that's kind of the thickness that you want it, not too thick, but not too thin. And it's gonna make a sweet, delicious, yummy roll. I kind of changed angles on you because I want you to see that I'm gonna roll this up. So I'm gonna take some of my toasted walnut, our yummy toasted nuts, and we're just gonna sprinkle a little bit on there. And that's one of the other really cool things about using biscuit dough and doing a filling roll is so if you get the whiners and the criers, I got one in my group called my daughter, I don't like nuts. You can kind of individualize these, which, you know, if you're gonna do these up for Mother's Day, what a nice gift that nobody's whining and crying that they didn't get what they want. So then we just roll those up, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of either, you can use water or you can use butter spray. We're just gonna wet the end of that dough. And then once we wet the end of the dough, we will pinch it closed. And we're gonna do the same thing then to the end of our roll. That way our stuff doesn't go oozing out, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna move my roll over to the side because I'm gonna use my butter spray and I don't wanna get my cutting board all wet. So I'm just gonna squirt butter spray all over the counter and pinch up my dough that way. And then this end looks more like it's got a little, which one is the thicker? I'm just gonna go ahead and squirt that on the end there and pinch that closed. And then I'm just going to set it down in my greased pan, and I'm just gonna give it like a little bit of a squish. And as I squish, I'm just gonna pinch the rest of that, just like so. And that's all there is to that. We'll do the same thing. We'll just start over. We'll spread a little more of our flour. We'll go ahead and roll this out. And once we get all of our biscuits rolled out and in the pan, we'll go ahead and spray the whole bunch with a little butter spray so they'll brown and they'll be ready to put in the oven. Super simple, right? Was that simple? It was simple, right? Yeah. So once we've got our biscuits all rolled up, we'll put them in the pan. I like to give them a little room, kind of space them out so they've got plenty of room to expand. If you get them two on top of each other, it kind of gets all doughy and they don't get fully cooked. So give them some room to expand and bake, and go ahead and just give them a little squirt of butter spray or an egg wash so they'll get up nice golden brown. And if you want to, you can sprinkle them. I'm going to sprinkle them with a little bit of cinnamon sugar before I pop them in so it's nice and sweet all the way around. And then you can coat these with either a caramel when they come out, or a cream cheese icing, or powdered sugar icing. Lots of different choices there. So there's two schools of thought when it comes to baking biscuit dough. You can either do low heat and cook them slowly, or high heat and cook them quickly. It tends to rise and get a little taller with the low heat. The high heat, you get a little crispier, more done biscuit. I'm going to opt to cook them on the low heat just because I want to make sure that my dough gets fully cooked. If I were cooking just regular biscuits, I'd probably go ahead and do the higher heat. But we're going to do 325, and we're going to bake these for about 25-30 minutes. We'll see how it goes with the filling. So I'm going to pop these in the oven and we'll start on our strawberry ones. So once my rolls were out of the oven, I took my leftover sweetened condensed milk that is now that yummy caramel butter, and just sort of buttered the top of the rolls. I'm just going to take what little bit of walnut I have left, and I'm just going to sprinkle that over top. And I'm just going to let them cool a little bit, and hopefully you will actually have the opportunity to serve these to somebody warm, because they're really best when they're still warm and yummy and delicious, and they'll be ready to eat probably in about 20 minutes. They'll be cool enough to eat without burning your mouth. There you go. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Just a can of sweetened condensed milk and some pre-made biscuit dough, some walnuts, or you could use pecans, and We got pretty, tasty, and simple, and kind of cheap too, because you know I like cheap. So let's do our strawberry cream cheese bread. So for our strawberry cream cheese quick bread, we're going to use crescent rolls and some cream cheese that you'll want to bring to room temperature so that it's soft. And because we're already cheating with the dough, we're going to cheat with the filling. A lot of times strawberries aren't available, or maybe you get to the store and they're sold out or they don't look good. This is the cheater's method. So we're going to take our cream cheese, we're going to throw some strawberry jam in there and whip them up in the mixture to make a strawberry filling. You can also just do that with strawberry pie filling, but a lot of times the jam is significantly cheaper and kind of has a better flavor to it. So I'm going to put my cream cheese and my jam in the mixer and whip it up. So I mixed up my cream cheese with my strawberry jam. Now I am ready to open up my croissant. Whoa, there it is. And it's kind of sticky. So, kind of sticky here. So we're just going to peel our croissant dough out of here as best we can. Got a little sticky, I'm not sure why. And we're just going to take our pieces of dough, simply lay them out, a nice little triangular piece, and we're going to just spread our cream cheese filling from the bottom right up to the top. I'm just going to very carefully take this and just spread it onto my dough, and I will come over so that you can see this. Hello. So now we're just going to take our cream cheese filling and spread it right onto our croissant dough very carefully, or maybe not. And then we're going to take our loaf pan, and you don't necessarily need a loaf pan, but I just like the high sides, and we're just going to lay that in there just like so. Can you see it like that? Yes. So we're just going to lay that in there, and then I'm just going to repeat the process of layering my cream cheese and then my little triangles of cream cheese covered dough until we get all of the pieces of dough covered. Then we will go ahead and place it in the oven and let it bake. So our last roll, we're just going to roll out as thin as we possibly can, because we want it to kind of cover as much of our little pile of dough as possible. So we're just going to roll that out really thin and as close to rectangular as we can get it. And once we do that, it's a little uneven, but that's okay. I'm going to spread some cream cheese, but just kind of in the very sort of center of that. We don't want to get those edges, because the edges are going to flop down over the sides. So we've got that just kind of in the center. I'm now going to move some stuff around here real quick. Over here so I can see it better. So I'm just going to take my dough, see if I can do this without blocking what we're seeing here. I'm going to carefully peel it off of here so that I don't. And you can see I'm just going to meet that cream cheese together, and then I'm just going to try and pinch the sides as much as possible. It's not going to be easy because, you know, it's down here in the bread pan. And you could probably also maybe take like a fork and press it together if you wanted to. I'm going to take a little bit of my butter spray and just kind of spray the edges of that dough first so that I can get some stick to it to press it together. If you use a fork, you want to be really, really careful because you don't want to puncture the dough, because then it will leak out. And it may still leak out, and that happens, and you know, whatever, you go on. So once you go ahead and pinch that dough all the way around, over, it's just not sticking. Maybe I'll fold it up a little bit. There we go. But you're just going to want to pinch that all the way around so it looks like a big oversized egg roll. We'll pinch it all closed and try and get it as best we can on the sides. And then we'll go ahead and spray that top just a little bit so that it is golden brown, and I'm gonna pop it in the oven at about 325 degrees and just bake it slowly. Once it's really golden brown, hopefully it's toasted all the way through. We'll see how that goes. So our cream cheese bread is done. This is one of the reasons I like using a glass pan when I do breads, is because you can actually see the bottom, so that even though that wasn't as brown as I would have liked it on top, it was getting pretty brown on the bottom. Here, I'll come to you. You can see that it was getting pretty brown on the bottom, so we wanted to make sure that we got it out. So now I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put it on a plate, and I'm going to go ahead and put a cream cheese glaze on it. And because I'm lazy, I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to take some cream cheese frosting, and because the bread is still hot, when I put that frosting on hot, just like you would a cake, it melts. It's going to make a sticky, gooey kind of glaze. You don't want that on a cake, but on a bread, it's going to be pretty delicious. So whether you're getting ready for a holiday or a special occasion or just a reason to have a yummy breakfast, these are quick and easy, but look a whole lot fancier. And they sure are delicious. If you tried this recipe, let me know how it went in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and share so that your friends can become our friends. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will see you real soon.